Welcome, everybody, to a special edition of the Christy Taylor Show. I'm falling in love with these special editions because this is where I have a chance to actually go live and have you all communicate with us via chat. So make sure you feel free to participate in the conversation. Hit us up in the comments, ask your questions, and all those wonderful things. Hope you're having a good. This is still Wednesday, right? It's still Wednesday, right? Well, on this Wednesday, I have the joy and the honor of talking to Cam Heil. Hi, Cam.
Hey, Christy, thanks for having me.
Well, I'm thank you for being a very special guest of a special edition of the Christy Taylor Show. And let me tell you, I love your setting. You are the first person who has given us this much vibes. I mean, truly vibes for life, for life. Now, for those who are watching, yes, that is him. That is him.
Yes. We're in Tennessee. This is totally legal. We have a license from the Department of Ag.
Yes. Well, Cam, for those who are watching, definitely, and yes, welcome the comments, welcome the questions. Yes, very nice indeed. Cam, give me some history about you. Are you a Memphian by birth or a transplant?
I'm a transplant, so I'm from Louisiana and have now been living in Memphis for about 3 years. And I moved out here from Oregon, where I was cultivating cannabis as well as field crops and doing animal husbandry and things like that. So I sort of got recruited to come out here and build all of this.
Wow. So you are Southern, but you also enjoyed the West. How has that influenced what you're doing? Is it when you went to the West that you became involved in the cannabis industry?
Yeah, it had a great impact on me. I think everything from the culture, being on the West Coast as a Southerner is definitely has you feel out of place sometimes, and then being back in the Delta from the West Coast had me feeling out of place. So it's kept me on my toes for sure.
Now, with you being from Louisiana, coming to Memphis, Tennessee, and being recruited to do so, how many years have you been in the city now?
So I make 3 years this month, actually.
Okay, then. Well, happy anniversary.
Thank you.
And that means, wait a minute, did you come right before the pandemic?
So, yeah, well, in 2019, yeah.
Yes.
And so Ounce of Hope also makes its 3-year birthday actually during Beale Street Music Fest, which we're also a part of and vending at. So that's really exciting for us.
Wow. Okay. So how has the cannabis industry changed over the last 3 to 5 years since you've been in it in Tennessee? Because, of course, there was a lot of contention at first because we are definitely a Republican-led state. So tell me about that, coming from the West, working in cannabis.
So just even simply put, just the taboo of cannabis, moving from Louisiana, being sort of ostracized as a stoner or even someone that's interested in cannabis, you can get out of place. And then moving to the West where you can grow it in your backyard. And I literally made trades at our farm stand for tomatoes and cannabis. Like a 75-year-old man was like, man, I've got some weed if you want to trade. I'm like, absolutely. And coming back into the Delta, experiencing some of those taboos, but Memphis being far more progressive than where I'm from in Louisiana, and Memphis being far more welcoming to a cannabis company than I totally expected, which has been great for us. Our first location was in Midtown and just totally welcomed with open arms. The connections we've been able to make and the people we've been able to work with, the businesses and the individuals in Memphis has been outstanding. But as far as the cannabis industry as a whole, what's changed dramatically is the introduction of Delta 8, Delta 10, some of these other hemp-derived THC molecules has totally changed the game for us.
Okay, for someone who is kind of, still learning about cannabis in all of its glory, can you, with it being in Memphis, and I went to your website, you're not growing it in the ground.
Correct. We're growing
Okay.
it indoors.
Okay, because first of all, it's a plant, and I'm like, okay, I'm like you say, you were growing it in your backyard, but now you're literally growing it inside. So, can you break that down on the technology that you all have brought? Is that revolutionary to do it this way?
Revolutionary? No, I don't think so. Risky, yes. A bit of a gamble, yes. But we use aquaponics, and what that means is that we grow fish, we culture bacteria. The bacteria clean the water. They turn the fish waste into nitrates, which the plants love. And that sort of system has been around since, I mean,
Oh, wow.
thousands of years.
Okay.
But now, as far as indoor agriculture, yes, that is revolutionary. And as
Okay.
far as aquaponic cannabis, yes, there's not that many people doing it. I think a facility like this, there's less than 100 in the country. And
Wow.
we actually have two different, I'm standing in the middle of two different beds, and we have, let's see, it's a little backwards. On this side, we have deep water culture. And these beds, these plants are suspended in water. Their roots just go down into water. We keep the water recirculating, full of nutrients, and these plants grow super happy. The plants on this side are actually in raised beds with living soil. So this is the closest approximation to bringing that outdoor garden indoors.
Okay. What is the difference to the plants? Okay. Well, one is like you said, roots are submerged in water.
Yes,
That and of course you're saying aquaponics.
yes,
Fish, their waste is recycled, feeding the plants.
yes,
What we do in okay, I grew up in Tipton County, with DC born, but Tipton County raised. I knew that what we used to call the cow manure or the bull manure
yeah,
would be turned into fertilizer, and because they ate the grass. I mean, that's the best way they would say it, and it would then turn around and re-energize the earth
yes,
for the plants, whatever you were growing. So is that the
yes.
same thing you're saying that the fish are doing? And I didn't know. You said that this technology or this way of agriculture has been around for thousands of years. In what cases were they often used? Were they using the fish to also nourish the plants? Is that like
So
a lily pond or something?
yeah, yeah. Basically, in if you have animals outside, they're
Mhm.
pooping and they need to drink water. So,
Right.
they're pooping in the fields, and that's fertilizing the fields. And then you have retention ponds that catch all the rainwater, and that's where they go to drink, or that's where you're pumping water from. And this is this is just the indoor version of that. The
Okay.
fish are swimming in the water that they're pooping in. We are filtering that water and capturing the waste ourselves,
Mhm.
concentrating it down, and then are able to water our plants with it or add it to our deep water culture system in order to feed the plants.
Now,
And
the deep water culture system, that's roots are just hanging out in the water. Why
yeah,
is that option as opposed to, as you say, the raised plants? Why the difference?
so there's advantages to both systems.
Mhm.
And what we're sort of working out here is which one do we want to scale up. So
Mhm.
we've got two separate rows of our deep water culture and two separate rows of our soil. We're growing the same plants side by side and just trying to figure out which one is the most beneficial for us. They're both considered aquaponics because we're using the nutrients, but there are pros and cons. So for the soil, for instance, you've got all kinds of microorganisms and bugs and all these living systems that you have to tinker with and keep in the right levels to make
Mhm.
sure that the plants stay happy. On the deep water culture side, it's all just water chemistry. There's no weeds, there's no pests, but because there's no soil for those types of bugs to grow in over here, it can be a little bit more susceptible to pests on the deep water
Mhm.
culture side.
Okay.
The beneficial insects that live in the soil help to regulate all the predators that are also going to come. So,
Mhm.
I mean, I could go on and on, but pros and
Well, I
cons.
mean, I'm pretty nerdy, so you're tantalizing my intellect because I'm thinking, where are the pests coming from if it's indoors? I understand outdoors.
Yeah,
So the indoor, I mean, the pests are coming through the cracks. I mean, because I know I see spiders. It's springtime. I'm like, where y'all coming from?
Yeah, absolutely. We were surprised as well. Like the the indoor agriculture, even though this room is inside of a bigger room that's inside of a bigger building, we're still affected by the outdoor temperatures, the outdoor humidities, and the pressure that the outdoor environment puts on the indoors makes pests come inside and outside. So
Understood.
some of the first things that come in are ants, and it's nearly impossible to keep ants out.
Yeah.
And ants are really good at forming trails and leading other bugs into the building. So it's also us that are coming in and out of the building day to day. And generally speaking, if we're going to be this close to plants, we're wearing scrubs. The scrubs stay here in the building, and we have shoes that don't leave this building. You know, we try to keep very clean, but at the end of the day, there's so many of us moving in and out here. The doors get open, a contractor comes in, something like that, and a little bit of mold spore comes in, or a little bit of, you know, a couple of little mites or something, and then you brush the plant, and then those mites are on the plant. So
Wow.
it is a
Wow.
battle, and
Yeah.
yeah.
So, okay, so the very fact that, I'm looking at the plants as I can see it, and the one that's closest to what I say looks really rich. The hemp
Yeah,
leaf looks really rich. The other one that's immersed in water. Does it have the same deep greenness in the ones that's planted in the soil?
that's a great question. No, they are different. And one thing, maybe the easiest way that I can explain that is that the nutrients that we add to the soil, we can use a little bit more minerals like broken down rocks and things like that,
Okay.
azomite, rock phosphate. Those types of things actually have to be broken down by the biology in the soil in order for the plant to take them up. Whereas on the deep water culture side, everything that we use has to be plant available. So this is primarily fish nutrients, which are immediately able to uptake into the plant. So yeah,
You
you
know,
can see.
yeah, I can see it. Yeah, go ahead. You can switch it
Yeah.
around.
Well, I've got a little rotating webcam here. So these plants definitely being darker green. The
Yes.
nitrogen that's in the water coming from the fish nutrients is more available than the nitrogen that's being broken down over here in the soil plant.
Exactly. Wow. Wow. And are you using wire to just like tomato plants to kind of help direct the growth?
So because these buds get so dense, they're really heavy. And these plants are on a pretty short life cycle. They only spend about maybe 12 weeks in this flower room. So although the stalks are thick, they're not thick like if this was growing outdoors, which they'd be this big
Yeah.
around.
Yeah.
So they get so top heavy that we have to use this trellising to keep them from falling over. In fact, these on this side were falling over, and I just had to push them back up in here right before the showing. This whole row here, the plants on the deep water culture side, I mean, they're getting so heavy, they're just bending down.
Now, for me being new to this, and feel free if anybody has questions or comments, feel free in this live conversation to share those. Um, okay, are you harvesting the leaf or the flower?
Great question. What we're harvesting is the flower here. So we're actually going to trim
You
these
can bring
big.
that down. Can you bring that down a
Oh,
little?
yeah, sorry.
Okay,
Here we
okay,
go.
okay, okay.
So all of these big leaves we call fan leaves.
Yes.
We're trimming those off in harvest, and all we want is this. This is the bud, this is the flower, and this is the end product that any cannabis user is familiar with.
Okay,
So
so
this is what we're
even
harvesting
though
here.
even though people use the leaf as a sign for cannabis, what
Yes.
you're actually harvesting is the flower.
Yeah, and some of these leaves that are really close to the bud will actually still have some cannabinoids in them. So when we trim, we take the big leaves off and those go to compost. And then these smaller leaves are referred to as sugar leaves because they have all the little crystals on the leaves. And so those can be used in pressing rosin, making hash, sometimes in pre-rolls, but generally for extracts and things like that.
Okay, now you're getting to the good stuff. Welcome everybody to a special edition of the Christy Taylor Show. I'm here with Cam Heil of Ounce of Hope. You can check out the website for more details. It's a Memphis-based indoor aquaponics,
Aquaponic.
aquaponics, hemp. Wait, what's the? Okay, break it down for him.
Yeah, there's a lot of buzzwords. There's a lot of words here. So controlled indoor controlled agriculture, aquaponic cultivation facility. We have living soil. We have deep water culture. Lots of big words going around, but basically we use the fish waste to provide the fertility for all of our plants.
Now, how is this legal in Tennessee? What part is legal?
So the hemp plant itself is identical to the marijuana plant. The only differentiation is the amount of THC found in the buds of the plant. And that is now a federally regulated term, hemp versus marijuana. Hemp is considered anything that produces 0.3% or less of THC, and marijuana is anything that produces more than that.
Okay. So, what's the difference in the leaves? How can someone differentiate between a hemp and a marijuana leaf
If
or plant?
you, without lab testing, you basically cannot differentiate. So the
Understood.
genetics that we get come from certified farms, certified growers, and so we're purchasing seeds that have lab tests from the year prior, and they're from trusted companies, and they also have to have grow permits and are regulated by the government as well. And so we're getting those seeds in, and we have a couple of options. We can either start plants from seed, which these were, but we can also keep some of these plants in the vegetative state, and then we have what's called mothers. We grow our mothers out to be large vegetative plants, and then we just take cuttings, which are called clones. We take cuttings, we clone those, and then we can plant the entire room from mothers.
Understood. So then you don't have to rely on the seeds anymore, and you already know that that plant is a hemp plant. Understood.
Yeah.
Now, give me the inspiration behind Ounce of Hope. Of course, we understand hemp. We understand you're using an ancient technology as far as the fish and the water and the plant, but indoor, all of that, the techie
Yeah.
stuff. But what's the inspiration behind you doing Ounce of Hope?
So our founder, his name's Colin Bercier. He's also from Louisiana. He came to Memphis to go to the University of Memphis. So he's a little bit from here, a little bit from there, just like myself. And his journey in cannabis started when his mom was diagnosed with MS. And he was searching for something that could provide her some relief. He found medical cannabis. He started doing lots of research. He knew that it wasn't going to cure her illness, but he also knew that it could give her a quality of life that she just was not getting with her pharmaceutical treatment.
Okay.
And so he was actually one of the pioneers of the medical marijuana movement in Louisiana.
Oh, wow.
He got like really, really close to the first licenses that they gave out. They decided to give them to a private company that had basically just a little bit more money to be able to buy it, because we're talking about Louisiana and that's how things work. But after those rounds of funding and research and lobbying sort of went dry for him in Louisiana, he started looking, where else can I open? How else can I enter this industry? And when visiting Memphis on another time, he was like, what about Tennessee? Why not Tennessee? Why not Memphis? And the rest is history.
So was his mother still alive when he actually established Ounce of Hope, and did she benefit from the cannabis?
Sadly, no.
Okay.
No, she passed several years ago, and but we have her pictures up in our store and in the phone.
I saw them on the website. That's why I was wondering about that. Her influence, and if she had seen the fruition of his dream. But she's definitely the inspiration behind it.
Yes.
And how has the medical community how have they in the last few years? Because of course there was a lot of contention, but how are they changing now to medical?
I think it's right now it's either state to state or doctor to doctor. If you're
Okay.
living in a state that now has a medical program, a lot of those doctors, physicians are able to talk about it openly without worrying about being discredited or,
Mhm.
you know, facing some other sort of fines or things like that. If you're in a state without a medical program, it's doctor to doctor, and
Okay.
sometimes you might have to use a little bit of code words, or you know, sometimes you just have to do a little bit more research to find a doctor that's going to be a little bit more open to work with you on treatment with cannabis, because there's honestly just not a lot of education out there, you know,
Mhm.
especially from like the med school side, there's zero talk of cannabis.
Understood. Even now, 21st century, and it's of course legalized in, is it almost 10 states now? It's
So it's the majority of states now. I think as many as 37 states, potentially
okay.
40, have some kind of
Okay.
marijuana law, whether it's recreational or medicinal.
Understood. So, where have you all positioned yourself? I understand, of course, Midtown, we all know, is very receptive to it, and it has its own hippie vibe, history. So, what made you all decide to also expand into East Memphis?
I think East Memphis was, well, one, we grew faster than we could handle for our Cooper location.
Understood.
That store is really small, and when COVID hit, we did not slow down, and in fact, we grew just month after month, quarter after quarter during COVID. And one of the things that took off was our online sales, because
Okay.
not only were local people switching to online to stay safe or, you know, but also national
Yeah.
sales just picked up. All of a sudden, we were getting customers from New York City and, you know, Oklahoma and just kind of all over the map. So we had to find a new location just for our shipping alone. And
Wow.
with the shipping expanding, and also we're a vertically integrated company, so a lot of our products that you see, all the products you see on our website, we produce in house, and a lot of the products in store we produce in house. So
As a matter of fact, I'm going to kind of give people a bird's eye view of this amazing website. Be pure, be well, shop our hemp derived CBD and Delta 8 products. Be sure to go to this. They have a great shop, news, blog, tour opportunities as well. Look how cool that is. Super, super cool.
thank you.
Um, so, as far as the products you actually sell, and you did say there's Delta 8, 9, 10. You all are CBD and Delta 8. Explain that for us, please.
So this recent emergence with these hemp-derived THC compounds, again, it changed our industry overnight. And basically, what happens is that we will harvest this bud,
Mhm.
and farmers like us will send this bud off to a distillery, and
Okay.
they will distill this flower into what's called an isolate. And that isolate is 99.9% CBD. It's a crystalline powder. Then a lab will take that crystalline isolate and use an oxidizer to change it into the Delta 8 or Delta 10 or any of these other
Mhm.
THCO, HHC. It's all done in a lab through basically an oxidation process that breaks down some bonds. And when it gets to the right molecule that they want, they add in another chemical, the reaction stops, and they're left with then what's called a distillate. And so that's another concentrate, and it's about generally, let's say 80 to 95% pure Delta 8 or Delta 10 or one of these other things. Then we're taking that distillate, and here in our lab, we're adding it with other like MCT oil or some of the rosin that we press and extract from this bud to make the
Mhm.
oils, the edibles. The cartridges don't have our rosin, they have just the Delta 8 distillate. But again, it is the reason that that's legal is because it is derived from the hemp plant. It's not derived from the marijuana plant. And the current way that the law is written, any derivative, any isolate, any isomer of the hemp plant is still considered hemp.
Understood. And I'm just scrolling through your products. I mean, chocolate and the vapes and the gummies. I mean, I'm just checking everything out in the oils that you have, the edibles, topicals. You have
Yeah.
that. And what is that usually used for? The salve?
So sore muscles, achy joints, arthritis, nerve
Mhm.
pain, tendonitis. I'm an athlete. I train Jiu-Jitsu, and as many people as I can give it to, they swear by it.
Also, the soft gels, you
Yeah,
have that. Um, the flour, which of course you have some pre-roll, and as well as, and you have very super cool names: special sauce, mountain mango, Hawaiian haze, and you have vape. Let's talk about the vape. Is that
sure.
similar to your oils?
It is similar. It's not
Mm-hmm.
quite. So a lot of our oils, our base is MCT oil,
Mm-hmm.
but with the vapes, there's no MCT, there's no fillers. It is just the distillate and the terpenes. Terpenes are the flavor that actually comes from the bud itself. So
Okay.
in that distillation process that I was talking about, the first thing that comes off is the terpenes. And these
Okay.
companies that distill, they can capture those terpenes as soon as they flash off of the plant, and then we buy those terpenes and add it to our vape cartridges.
I also saw, and I thought that was so cute that you even have CBD for pets, like the beef
Oh
flavor,
yeah.
the oils. Let's talk about that. The dog bones. How important is that? This is for aging dogs specifically.
Not specifically. It's for any time you want your animals to relax, which honestly is a lot of the time. So if you're going on a road trip, if you're going to the vet, if you need to brush your dog's teeth and they don't like it when you grab their face, if like I use it with my cat anytime we go on road trips because she doesn't like the motion. It messes with her equilibrium and she'll get nauseous. But with the CBD, she just kind of goes to sleep and she's just hanging out in the truck.
Wow. And of course, for those who are interested in learning more about Ounce of Hope, go to their website and be sure to click on Our Story. I found that very, very intriguing and inspiring. And of course, I also noted that you all provide tours. So be sure when you go there to click on everything and actually take a tour. And this is just amazing. I really love the way that you all have approached this. It's been extremely educational, and as I say, you have given us the ultimate vibes today on your set. Because
Thank you.
now, of course, in addition to anything else you want to share about Ounce of Hope specifically, because I know we want to get to your community piece as well. Anything else you want to let them know about Ounce of Hope?
The tours are a really great way, again, to come in and interact with the plant, to get the knowledge from us. If you're curious, you get to see the fish, you can feed the fish. And another product that we have is our concentrated fish poop.
Yeah,
Uh,
I saw that on the website. So, what can somebody do with that?
so this is for any home gardener or even a cannabis grower. Like if you have plants, the fish poop is for you. And so far, we've been able to produce an excess in fertility. And so that's what we're doing now is bottling this. And we've been donating a ton of it. We're working with Memphis Tilt, Black Seeds Farm, uh, all kinds of local farms here in town to try to get some good data back from the field. Um, so if you're curious about that, we also have the fish poop that comes straight from our farm. It's
Wow.
a local fertilizer.
Well, Cam, what type of fish do you use? Is it goldfish or what? Is it the big
So
pond?
we have several different types of goldfish, different types of koi, and then we're also using tilapia as well.
Oh, wow. Wow. And now you can buy your own fish poop to put in your own garden. And I
That's
like
right.
the fact that you have a strong community piece to it that I'm aware of. Like you said, working with local gardens, community gardens. So if you are watching this, watching the replay, you're like, hey, we got a community garden. Cam says they have some fish poop for you.
100%.
Now,
Absolutely.
now, of course, it's April. And fun things are kicking off in Memphis as we gear up for our season of festivities, outdoor activities, concerts, and everything. And one thing that you're going to be doing is 420. Give us the event that's happening on 420.
So this is our second annual 420 celebration. We're hosting it with Grind City Brewing, and they have been fantastic to work with. And um, we are having food and music and games and giveaways, big giveaways. And we've got comedy, we've got just all types of different performance. There'll be fire dancers there and acrobatics. I mean, just it's a big celebration of cannabis and just Memphis, really.
And I see that you can actually win big at Ounce of Hope's Grind City Brewery 420 event. What does that mean? They can win big.
So we have several different giveaways. I know that there is a $500 gift card for Ounce of Hope. I know that there are 2 tickets to Beale Street Music Fest, and there are some other prizes and games and things like that that you can win from.
Speaking of the Beale Street Music Festival, that's happening April the 29th through May the 1st, the Fairgrounds, Memphis, Tennessee. And you spoke of the fact that, that you actually participated in it a couple years ago.
So we haven't been able to participate since COVID, but this will be the first year that we're able to go there and set up a booth, and we'll be vending there and selling our products and engaging with the public and things like that.
And for those who want to know, yes, they got Lil Wayne coming, Foo Fighters, Van Morrison. Of course, we've got the Smashing Pumpkins. 3-6 Mafia will be hitting the stage, and I'm super excited about that. Now, I know that, and I'm just kind of checking out all the fun things that you all have on your website. But once again, there it is. That's the fish poop, everybody. I just had to show it. I just had to.
I appreciate it.
Now, of course, I do know that in addition to the 420 event, the same week, you're going to be hanging out at the Orpheum. Let's talk about that event.
I'm really excited to be, Memphis Finest, really excited to be participating with them. Oscar P was sort of my, how I got into that, and I met him through a mutual friend. I saw him at the Rail Garden show with 8Ball and MJG. He came on in between artists and did a set, and I mean, I was just crying, laughing the whole time. And as soon as I realized that I had a mutual friend, I was like, can I get his number? Do you think he would come and perform at our 420 event? And not only was he excited about that, but also he invited us to Memphis Finest and wondered if we would be a sponsor. And we're actually going to be having a vending booth at the Orpheum as well, set up with them.
Wow. I just really love the fact that you all have allowed yourselves to get very deep in the community. And for those who want to check this out, you can go to the Orpheum and look for the Memphis Finest Comedy Show. It's going to be a great lineup. And I tell you, that's going to be on Saturday, April the 23rd, on Saturday, April 23rd. So you can hang out at one event on the 20th. And then come right back around on the 23rd and keep hanging out. And I love the fact that you all are communicating to us in a great way. Hey, everybody, welcome to a special edition of the Christy Taylor Show. Cam Heil here of Ounce of Hope, and we're just talking about their amazing indoor hemp farm. That's what I'm going to call it. And the great events that they are sponsoring in the community. Go to their website, ounceofhope.com. Be sure to click on blog for their 420 event. And of course, if you want more information about the Memphis Finest Comedy Show, just check out the orpheum.com. Anything else, Him, that you want to kind of share with us before we go?
I mean, we covered a lot. That generally when I do these things, I just talk and talk and talk. So this time I was like, okay, don't over-explain everything.
But you did amazing. I feel educated. It definitely tantalizes my intellect. I want to learn more. I really want to come do the tour that you offered already, just so I can see it up close and personal. So for everybody who's checking this out, if you have questions or comments, you can drop it right quick before we wrap. Other than that, you can go to ounceofhope.com, ounceofhope.com. and check out all the amazingness that they have. And are the gummies really good? You know, now not just the CBD, but do they taste good? Because I love gummies.
They taste fantastic. It's probably our most sold product. It's a fan favorite for sure.
Okay, yeah, because
we also have the at Your Ounce of Hope on our Instagram, where we are a little bit irreverent, you know, a little bit unpolished, which is nice because our website is very clean, very formal. So if you're looking for cannabis memes or, you know, just a little bit of cannabis comedy, check out our Instagram. We also have the Snapchat where, you know, I'm posting from the farm.
Wow.
There, you know, our bud tenders are posting new products and things like that. So the Snapchat is another little great avenue to check out.
Wow, that's good. This is good. So this was a great way to just have a midweek conversation, a special edition of the Christy Taylor Show with Cam Heil. Check out their website. Make sure you follow them on Instagram, Snapchat, and all of their social. And yes, and I'm going to get some gummies because I need to relax. Need to relax. Thank you, Cam. Thank you
Thank you so much, Christy. I appreciate it.
All right. And thank you all so very much for hanging out with us on today. I'm super geeked about it. And yes, ounceofhope.com, Cam Heil. Be sure to check out their website for the 420 event and go to the orpheumtheater.com for Memphis Finest. And thank y'all again for hanging out.